All right, we're live.
So for real, like this, or like
Yeah, sit
this,
however you want, man. Be
like
comfortable.
this.
Be comfortable.
Be comfortable.
Welcome to another episode of Wisdom, Whiskey, and.
Relationships.
Today we discuss marriage, single people, divorced people, and whiskey. So before we get started with any of that, Chris, what are we gonna have here?
So our whiskey today is Balcones. It's a Texas bourbon distilled in a pot stilled bourbon. So on episode 2, we discussed the differences between column still and pot still.
We vaguely discussed.
We mentioned it. And this is a pot still bourbon. Not many people are doing it. And I said that you could taste the difference between a pot still and a column still. And we're going to
Test that.
try to
theory.
think about that today. Yep. So when you're drinking this, think about how different it is from other bourbons that you've had.
So if anybody noticed, we have a guest in the house. This is Danny, my brother-in-law.
How you doing?
He will be the separated guest on the show today in relationships. Chris is the married one, of course, and I am singular.
I've been separated for about 7 months now. So just let everybody know.
Well, we got some whiskey for you, Danny.
Awesome. I'm
hopefully that'll
excited
make it
about
better.
tasting it. I am a Scotch whiskey type person.
Say Scotch. Like, is there a particular kind of Scotch you like?
I like that one. I can never remember the name of it. Daniel might can help me out with that, but it's like starts with an A. It's a really,
Ardbeg?
Huh?
Ardbeg?
Yes.
Really?
So what are you picking up here, Chris? I got a lot of vanilla.
Oh, yeah. Brown sugar?
Yeah, I got some brown sugar too.
No cardboard in this one.
Mm-mm.
I'm gonna tell you what.
It
This
smells
is
really
like
good.
some of the smoothest
It's
smelling. It's really good stuff.
It smells a lot better than it tastes.
I agree. That's what I was about to say.
It smells
Like,
like
the smell is
It's
like
it's
really
smooth
good.
though. Like,
it
you know what I'm
is.
saying? Like,
It is smooth, but it has like a pungentness to it that you can't smell.
Like on the tongue, do you kind of feel like the oils? Kind of
Yeah.
like
you don't get that pungent until I feel like after.
Yeah, after you swallow it,
like
it's got a
after-
really good.
After it sits in your mouth for a little bit, but not bad stuff.
It has like a peppery taste on the tongue.
I can taste the pepper. Yep, like on the tip of the tongue,
Mm-hmm.
you can kind of taste the pepper.
Yeah, but that aftertaste, I don't care for it.
That's fine.
No, I really like the pre
Well,
the
when I
pre
was-
The
swallow.
nose is
When I
really
talk about
good.
the smoothness, I'm talking about that bourbon strong alcohol taste.
Yeah.
You don't get that. I do know the taste you're talking about, Daniel, but
In place of the alcohol, I think you
You get
taste
that.
the wax
Yeah.
or the oil.
Whatever
Yeah.
it is.
I don't know where that comes from, but not bad. I would drink it.
It's 46%.
But when I drink whiskey, I don't
It's
like
not too
that
hot.
strong, alcohol whiskey taste.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really mind that, as long as it has a good taste. The whiskey.
That's what I like, just a good taste.
Yeah.
The nose is. I like
The nose on this one is really good.
Yeah, it really smells.
I could smell this all
y'all
day
said,
long.
Y'all said vanilla. I definitely smell that.
Yeah, it's got a strong vanilla.
It's funny. It's actually been a while since I've had this, but like going back to it, like it doesn't taste how I remember.
I wonder if you've had it sitting out in the sunlight
No, I keep it up.
so
Yeah,
the kids don't get into it.
So, if you, in the first couple episodes, did y'all describe to people like what's your favorite type of whiskey?
No, I don't
no,
think
we didn't
so.
really do that.
Is there a
Chris-
particular type?
We went into a lot with
Taste.
the distillery
Mhm.
because it's
Yeah.
local and
We did Fisher's.
yeah.
Yeah, Fisher's is amazing.
Yeah.
I like that stuff.
We
I
didn't-
still like the bourbon, but at the same time, like that malt whiskey is the malt rye whiskey.
Yeah.
Was really good too. And the more I had the bourbon, I felt like I felt like the rye was a lot better. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like
been so long
at
since
first
I-
when I tasted that Fisher bourbon, I thought, wow, man, this stuff is amazing. But the more I had the malt whiskey, it was more like, oh,
I remember their rye being really good, but
yeah.
I can't remember
It's
what
all
it tasted
good.
like.
Everything they have is good.
Everything from Fisher.
Except for the Christmas whiskey. I just do not like it. But this year it
Yeah.
did taste better than normal than I remember. And I'm gonna try to have the guy on.
That would be cool.
And for
So I
anybody,
better not talk bad about the Christmas whiskey, right?
for anybody that's listening, the
I thought you
Christmas
should
whiskey's
just be
got,
honest.
got
Yeah.
that spice to it, kind of like
It's like a spiced,
yeah, like when you buy like was it Captain Morgan's something
Yeah.
like that, but it's a whiskey, so it's got that spice taste.
I'm not sure how they're making
It might be a good mixture. but-
the Christmas spice in it, but like in general, I don't like
infused.
or the flavored whiskeys and stuff because it's like it's too much.
Yeah. So there's one out there that we have that I think that you'd be interested in.
What's that?
It's a little Crown Royal peach.
I do like peach flavor,
Oh,
like artificial peach, natural peach. I just like peach flavored things.
Yeah, somebody brought it over to the house and left it here.
I'm good with Crown Royal. I had a night with it.
Yeah.
So, anyways, if y'all want me to explain it, I can, but it's up to you guys.
What was your night with Crown Royal?
Yeah, you might as well tell us.
So, back in the day, in my early 20s, I used to pound back some whiskey and stuff like that. And so, we went to a poker party when I used to play poker really big. And sat down with a bottle of Crown Royal. I didn't buy it, somebody else bought it. It just ended up in my...
It's always the story with Crown Royal. It just
Yeah.
shows up.
It just shows up, and like I somehow landed in my lap, and so I was sitting at the end of the table drinking. I ended up winning the poker game of the night, and I actually finished the Crown Royal bottle. So I stood up, and when I stood up, I hit the floor, and I didn't wake up till the next morning. So that would be my night with Crown
So
Royal.
but you lost the poker game?
Oh no, I won.
You won the game.
Won
You
the
won,
whole
and
game.
then when you passed out, everyone took your money.
Huh?
When you passed out, everyone take your money.
No, that I know of. I had it next morning. It was so many years ago, Chris. I don't even know. It was like early 20s. I'm 41, by the way, but it was like when I was like 21, 22.
So, can you drink Crown Royal now?
Yeah,
Like,
but
does it-
I'm
does it
just
turn
not a
your
big
stomach?
fan of it. Just, whatever. Like, back in my early teens, my mom thought it'd be cool to get me drunk, so I would never drink again. Didn't work, obviously. But I would not drink Jack Daniels or Jim Beam the same way ever again.
Because you had so much that it turns your stomach.
Yes, and
Yeah.
that, it took me a while to like whiskey. Like Daniel introduced me to whiskey, and he's like, "Dude, there's so much better."
But you're named after
Whiskey.
Jack Daniels.
Yes, I'm a twin.
So did
and
your
my
mom want
twin
you
brother,
to-
who's older, is named Jack,
Right, sounds like an encouragement.
and my name
Yeah.
is Daniel. So
I don't
Jack
know that she
Daniels.
wanted you to stop drinking, Danny. I think she was trying to get you to like go for the brand, the
go for
branding.
yeah,
Yeah, the Jack Daniels
she
brand.
wants to be the front for.
Have you had any of the other Jack Daniels other than the regular? Like the single barrel or
No, it was just
just a regular?
a regular Jack Daniels.
You should try like the other releases because they're
And
really
then the
good.
crazy part was like when we turned 30, a lot of people were buying us like Jack Daniels to have for our birthday.
Because
And
you're
we were like,
yeah.
no, we ended up just giving it away. We just couldn't do it.
I've never liked Jack.
Yeah, I don't think I can drink it nowadays
Yeah.
either.
Even in Coke, I like a Jack and Coke.
It's fine.
No,
It's
it's
not my favorite.
man, I had a Captain Coke. That was really good.
Yeah, rum and Coke's always going to
Captain
top
Coke was my preferred
It-
back in the day.
It is good. Like a spice Coke. It's really good.
Bacardi and Coke.
Really, that's what we need to have on one of these episodes. Is
See, I like it better than Bacardi and Coke.
Bacardi and Coke's way to go.
what I was gonna say is we should get a bottle of like some of the other releases of the Jack Daniels because I do like it.
You want to do an episode with Jack Daniels?
Yeah.
Man,
Should I invite my
Yeah,
brother
why not?
over?
You might as well. Might as well have the Jack Daniels twins here.
Yeah. That Jack and Daniel or Jack and Danny could drink Jack Daniels.
Yeah. Anybody has not watched the first one, y'all can see it on YouTube.
Thanks for promoting it. For promoting
Right.
it.
Promoting.
Hey, we
episode
shared it on
one.
Facebook.
Yeah.
I continue to share it if you already shared it. Get
Like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah,
share,
please. You
subscribe.
I don't
know,
know.
send us a
Like,
send us
please,
some love.
yeah, please do that. I guess, but like, it always feels weird when a YouTuber or anyone like that
Ask.
asked like,
Help blow our channel up by sharing and supporting
Do it.
us.
Do it.
If you like what we're doing, Chris, they should show some love,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And if you got any ideas, right?
Yeah, if you got any ideas for a podcast,
Or a topic, you know?
I mean, that's
Send it on
one.
through.
That's one thing with having a smaller channel. Smaller, like a very, very small channel, is we can interact with the community a little bit more, right?
yeah.
So like, we only have 3 comments, I think, right now, and so we can respond to that.
I was looking on the way
But
here.
if
you
we
got-
had like 10,
If
it'd
you-
be too many.
Hey, you got 24 viewers, by the way, just to let you know.
I saw that.
That's awesome.
I know, congratulations.
Thank you.
When I looked the first time, it was like 3, and now it's up to 24.
Yes.
And it was on there, what, 3 days ago? Something like that?
Something like
we
that.
released it
I think it was Thursday, right?
Thursdays when it got
Yeah.
uploaded.
So not too bad, yes.
So the format of the show is really going to start with whiskey tastings.
Yep.
The first episode did not include whiskey because we recorded for 3.5 hours and we had to break it into 2 episodes.
I mean, which is like the title of it is No Whiskey Yet.
Yeah, but the people should know that from
Yeah.
now on, they'll
I got
get
you.
it in episode 2, but we're not really talking about it.
I kind of didn't want to spell it out, but like that's kind of the shtick of the episodes is.
Why don't you want to
Wisdom.
spell it out?
I don't know.
Let's
'cause I-
tease them about what we're doing.
I just feel like you'll pick up on it, and that'll be like, oh,
Yeah, but
wisdom, whiskey, and
If you only watch us one time, how are you going to pick up on it?
Yeah,
You got to let them know.
yeah.
You got to let them know. Is it bad that this table's like so rocky? Is that annoying?
I mean, I'm not messing with it. So.
I remember
Oh, 'cause I keep
legs
seeing you
are
touch
like-
it.
They're going like straight
Your
in
elbow.
like
I'm
this,
not to
Daniel.
touch it.
No, I'm sorry.
They're going like this right here, over here from this angle.
What?
That table. Every time y'all shake it, I'm like, what's going on over there?
Yeah, Chris keeps putting his elbow on it. It's all right
It's
though.
alright. He's just trying to find some
You
way
sure
for
it's
his elbow.
not you and the pop
No,
filter?
it's not. It's really not.
Oh, maybe it is me.
It's
So
not
we-
bothering me.
So do we get refills or is like
Yeah,
just
you
one
know,
glass
Chris,
it?
it's up to
Uh,
Chris actually. That's his.
No, you
special.
can have some.
We're trying to get
Come on
loose.
over.
We're trying to get loose because we're going to talk about relationships.
And-
We're going to get real deep into relationships,
And-
marriage,
Danny's got to get real loose for this.
and Danny's trying not to have any evidence in divorce court to go against him. So we'll try to keep it.
Actually, yes, I
We'll
actually
try
thought
to keep it
about
a little safe for Danny.
Jeez, poor Danny.
We won't talk about what happened last weekend. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Nothing happened last. We filmed the podcast last weekend. So,
That's why my one friend was hesitant to come on here.
all right, here I'm gonna take a refill too, Chris, just because I'm trying to lose.
I wasn't even in the room in the podcast last week.
You weren't even in the building.
I know.
I felt your presence.
Well, you know, everybody feels my presence.
Oh, sir. Thank
There
you.
you go.
Did you hear that nice little crystal?
Nice.
Whose glasses are these?
These glasses, 2 of them are Chris's. 1 was mine, and they're all the same.
Yeah, this is a
So they put
Glencairn.
the faint goat. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a Glencairn, and it's designed for whiskey, like the tulip shape. It's supposed
Yeah.
to kind of help you, like
It smells.
nose it,
Yeah.
help smells a little better, versus having like a big open cup with everything kind of like hitting you all at once.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's a pretty healthy pour you gave Danny there.
So I was in Kentucky on a trip one time, and I went to the local like CVS there, and they had liquor all up in there, and I'm like, this is totally strange.
I mean, I would imagine that Kentucky is like, I mean,
Yeah.
come on, where does
Exactly.
bourbon come from? You know,
So it was pretty interesting. I was like, never saw it in any other store besides an ABC store.
anywhere out west is like
Yeah.
that, like Walmart's in like Michigan and stuff like that. They carry it.
It's kind of cool. Like, you don't have to worry about going to some particular store trying to.
And in those states, like they have pretty good selection too.
It's cool.
But I mean, even in like South Carolina, like the Total Wines and More, like in South Carolina, like man, they have an awesome selection.
Really, and they got liquors in those stores.
They have to separate it. So like if you go to Total Wines in South Carolina, you'll have like beer and wine in one section, and the liquor section is basically separated by a wall, but it's got a different entrance.
It's kind of like Publix, right, Daniel? When we went down to Florida, there was that separate, like, Publix. No?
I don't remember. You talking about in Sarasota?
Yeah. We got there really late, and they barely let us in.
Dude, I don't remember. I don't remember.
We got there super late, 10 minutes close in. The manager's, like, watching us, like, come in, and, like, we had just
Like,
gotten into town.
we've got
Like,
groceries for a week.
You're up to no good.
Yeah.
We had to buy groceries for a week in
Yeah.
10 minutes.
in 10 minutes.
I mean, I guess we didn't have to.
But
We
you were
could have
able
just
to,
got food for the
But
night.
it didn't help that the manager was like,
Yeah, they were pretty strict in Sarasota. They're
you
not.
gotta go.
People trying to go to bed. It's
so you're also at the liquor store,
It was
right?
it wasn't a liquor store.
No,
it
we
was a
didn't.
Publix.
We weren't interested in
Oh.
buying. The liquor store was like next door. It was like
I
separated.
remember now.
But
do.
I
We
didn't
didn't go
know
in
what
the
was,
liquor
no, we didn't
store.
go in there, but I was like, man, that's kind of interesting. You know what I mean? We just bought beer. Like we were just trying to get in and out of that store, so we just got some beer and rolled out.
I mean, 'cause I can imagine being in a liquor store, and what time are you guys going in? Like midnight or something?
No, they closed at 9 o'clock.
Oh,
It was like
shit.
9 o'clock.
I thought it was like super late.
No, it's
No,
because it's
I was like,
Sarasota.
yeah, I
it
can
was like
understand.
everything
Like,
closes early there.
Yeah,
who,
there's a lot of
who
lot of
goes to
older
a liquor
people
store
there.
late at night, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean in Vegas, all night long.
Oh, Vegas is different, right? Like,
Yeah. Each one of us should rate this.
Are we gonna do 2 categories, taste and smell,
Yeah.
or are we gonna combine them together? Do
No,
overall?
that's too much.
Too much.
What-
Just
what-
overall?
One overall rating.
Yeah, because like it's all about the taste. I think at the end of the day.
Yeah,
What
because
you
you're not
put
going
in.
to just sit here and breathe this.
Dang, Daniel wants to.
But a good nose,
not-
can,
Daniel wants to get air freshener.
a good nose can go a long way.
Yeah, that's true.
What are we gonna do out of 10?
I think 1 should be the best. 10 the worst.
Yeah, because it's number
So
one.
let's
right?
flip our rating system on its ass.
What's fun? Like we did this last time too.
Did we?
Yeah, what was our rating?
Huh?
I'm pretty sure it was 10 was the best on the last episode.
No, but 10's the worst now.
Okay, all right. Well, we can
From
flip
now
it.
on,
From
1 is
now
the
on
best.
Is the cutoff.
1's the best, 10's the worst. That's why people ask.
So if you're editing right now, do you want your feet on camera?
They won't see my feet.
Okay.
Unless you want me to cover it up.
I'm
I don't give
just
a fuck.
asking.
You know, I really don't care.
Okay.
Like I made a point to Chris earlier.
It is how it is.
It is how it is. I want to be comfortable in this podcast. I'm gonna wear no shoes on every episode. Chris has got his famous Adidas on.
I see that.
Chris, do you want to go ahead and show
Trayvon out
the
here and I
people?
come in, he's wearing the Adidas.
There's
Like,
the originals, guys.
what's going on?
Yeah. So in episode 1,
Yeah, you showed your shoes.
I showed my shoes, and this isn't the same shoe, obviously, but this is like the 4th or 5th pair of these type of Adidas shoes that I bought. They're so comfortable. That's why I bought them. Right?
That's why you buy them.
That's why I buy 'em.
That's not why I buy shoes, because they
Oh,
don't
you-
really make a lot of comfortable shoes in my size. But
You just go for the aesthetics.
I go for what I can find. To be
Yeah.
honest with you, like I don't got a lot
That's
of choices.
that's one thing about that's
I'm-
nice about my size is that I don't
What
have
size do you wear?
in Adidas's I wear a little bit bigger. They're 11s.
I never
Typically,
say
I wear a
Adidas
10.5.
is instead of just Adidas.
Adidas's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I wear a size 7. You can find those in the men's and kids.
Oh, I
You can find those in men's.
In kids, yeah, men's barely in men's, mostly in kids.
And what size, Chris, do you wear?
These are 11s. Mostly I wear a 10.5.
Okay.
And I don't spend a lot of money in shoes, so
I don't either.
like,
Some guy was
finding
talking to me.
shoes that at a good price is kind of hard.
Some guy was talking to me the other day about like, oh, this Nike shoe released.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, like I'm not.
I don't care about that.
Daniel's into that. Too.
I collect Jordans
Yeah, collect
with my
Jordans.
nephew, Danny's son.
Really.
Got my son.
We collect
Yeah,
them together.
Jordans.
I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
I kind of like what I like, and I just kind of stick
I
with
just
it.
if I'm gonna
Here's
buy
the-
something or drive something, I'm gonna use the crap out of it.
Here's the thing.
That's why
You say you don't understand it. You don't understand it. But yet you have this die-hard love for that shoe. Shouldn't that tell you that there's people that have that same feeling for another shoe?
But it's not a hobby. Like I've got.
It's been a lifelong practice of yours to keep a pair of those
It's
shoes.
because I like these.
Exactly.
I don't care if they release another one.
What if they stopped releasing those?
I think they did for a while.
So what if
Because
they
I
did
couldn't
it
find
again?
them for a long time.
What if you heard they were going to stop releasing them? Would you go buy 3 pair?
No.
2 pair?
I would not.
You
I mean,
give up
I
on
would
them?
give up on it.
I
Damn.
love Vans.
Yeah,
They're
you're not
available,
a-
so I'll buy them.
You're right, you're not a
If
diehard
they're not
fan at
available,
all.
then yeah.
Hey, I thought you were a bigger fan than that. I guess not.
Because I've had other shoes too in the meantime.
Well,
Just I've always had this.
Yeah,
pair. I like a
obviously
pair
you're
like
not
this.
only wearing those.
Right.
Because then Adidas would probably sponsor our channel.
Just like Kanye West.
I think we can
Kanye.
Balcon or Vans. I got
Yeah.
your band gear on.
Hey, I'm always wearing some Vans. You
I
know,
haven't had-
if Vans
Yeah.
wants to throw out some,
I haven't had a pair of
Goods.
Vans in a long time.
Yeah, I love Vans.
I like Vans.
They make them in my size, so
I tried-
only 2 colors.
I tried looking for a pair of like Etnies, like the skateboarding
I used to have
shoes from
some.
back in the day. I was
Yeah.
trying to look for those, but
I remember Etnies.
yeah,
Got my DCs.
DCs, yeah.
DCs were my go-to.
Yeah.
Those were my go-to because they made them in 13s, and I was a 13 then.
I don't know why we got on the subject of shoes other than me wearing the Adidas's, but
Like I
do
said-
you
like I
remember
said,
that
I'm
pair of Airwalks that I
Big
had?
shoe guy. Oh, I had a pair of walks
Are you
too.
talking about your chicken shoes?
Yeah, the chicken shoes.
Of course, I remember the chicken shoes.
I've had a pair of walks too back in the day.
I worked
Yeah, but
at
did yours get covered in chicken batter?
No.
For
I worked at a local fried chicken restaurant.
Miss
It was like a
Winters?
chain.
It's a
Yeah,
chain,
Miss
yeah.
Winters. And I had a pair of Airwalks that I wore the entire time, and they were covered in chicken batter, and
they looked like
they were nasty.
fried
They had
chicken.
holes in them and everything. I wore them out.
They looked like 2 pieces of old chicken on your feet.
Well, battered.
That's
Dude.
so gross.
Yeah,
gross.
before the
you
before
were-
the
you-
frying.
All your clothes were so dirty back then. They were all covered in batter and grease and flour.
Yeah.
Oh man, I remember those days.
It was good in the apartment days because I'd bring home like food and stuff.
Yeah, but the apartment did kind of smell like an old chicken shack. Because we'd forget a whole bag of greasy food in the corner. You'd bring home like 10 chicken fried steaks, 10 biscuits, a bunch of shit.
Just random stuff.
And we'd leave it in a
And
bag
whatever's left
behind
over at the end of the night. We're gonna throw it away anyway.
I've heard stories.
Yeah.
We'll
The Miss
yeah.
Winter days.
Oh yeah.
It sucks that they're closing though. Like they
Does
all
it?
closed up. Yeah.
Does it suck?
I mean a little bit.
I've never even eaten at a Miss Winters ever.
I never have either, just to let you know.
I've only because you worked there.
Didn't even know they were closing their doors.
Yeah. We used to go there only because you worked. We never even got food when we visited you.
You know the same company owns Chicken Salad Chick, Piedmont Restaurant Group. And like apparently that's what they're all switching to because it's more profitable.
Piedmont Restaurant Group.
Chicken Salad Chick.
Okay.
I think there's a restaurant on Westover Terrace.
Yeah.
That's the only one I can think of. But
It's a good place. They got good chicken salad.
And actually, the guy that was doing the Rhinoceros Club, like he's over Piedmont Restaurant Group now.
You talking about your friend?
Yeah,
His dad owned
brother,
it?
His brother actually. Well, his dad owned it.
His dad
like,
owned Miss Winters.
His brother kind of took over.
Oh, his brother did take over? The one that used to run the club?
Yep.
Oh,
He also ran Green Street for a while.
he was a shiesty motherfucker. He might be a good guy now. So, back then, he was kind of shady.
I don't think so.
When he ran Green Street?
Maybe I don't know.
When do you think anybody owns a club? It's probably pretty sure.
Well, I don't think his dad owned it, right?
No, he
Oh,
didn't
he
own
owned
it.
Green
He
Street.
ran it. He was like,
that makes it worse if you're, the son of the owner.
You know what's
Awesome.
funny is how quickly we side railed from giving this a rating. We were all about to give this a rating.
in my head. I was giving this a 5.
A 5? Okay.
All right, you gotta explain one's the best,
One's the best.
One's
5
the
doesn't
best.
matter. With
This is a solid.
five's in the
mid.
middle.
It's mid. The nose is amazing. The taste, honestly, is a little bland right now to me.
I guess you start drinking.
lackluster.
Yeah. What?
Lackluster.
Yeah. I'd say so.
Yeah.
The taste doesn't back up what the nose is presenting.
I agree with that 100%. I'm going to give it's a 7.5 is what I meant.
Oh, so okay. So you're getting confused by the
Yes,
sales
it's
taste.
screwing me up.
That was your idea.
And that's why
So it's
people
a
laugh.
7. Yeah.
So that's going to mess me up every time.
I think it's better than a 7.
No,
but
7.
it's not higher.
I'm going to say 7.5.
I will say that I do. So we rated that based on the whiskey, but as far as the distillery goes, I like that they do different things.
Yeah.
So like they're really experimental with their whiskeys and what they release.
So how
So we got a 5, and we got a
7.5, a 5, and
7.5 and a 5.
one's the best.
One's the best. I got this. So
Danny really likes it.
I really like it. I really do. Because the way I like whiskeys is if I feel like I can drink it and not be like,
Whatever
I'm
goes
good.
down.
So like when
That's
I
one
drink
of
this
those
stuff,
things.
it's really smooth. The notes are really good. I do understand the aftertaste, Daniel, but it doesn't deter me away. So I'm gonna give it a 3. And
Oh wow, that's pretty high.
I'm not trying to go with other other liquors right now, like whiskeys right now, but Woodford definitely one of the best out there. But I have to give it a 3.
Yeah, Woodford's one of the best go-to like
Yeah.
house whiskey.
And we had that
Yeah.
Maker's Mark 67,
46.
46. Oh my!
That was really
goodness.
good.
That was
That was a cherry bomb.
I think we're gonna have to get like a whiteboard.
Oh, that'd be good.
So that we could keep everything.
Yeah.
And we didn't
like
do
a
the
ranking.
a ranking system, but we didn't do last week. We didn't do a ranking.
But I am one of those guys that do like positive ratings all the time. So
So you're always.
I'm like, it's always going to be a 3.
Ah.
Not kidding.
Danny, if you're going 3, like, there's not a lot that can beat it.
There's a couple out there.
You got 2 and 1.
Yeah, right.
You got 2 and 1.
There's some out there.
All right, man. Hey,
I don't know. The reason I gave it a 5 was because of the nose. I really enjoyed the nose.
honestly, I didn't even consider the nose. It is good, but it's kind of worthless to me.
All about the taste.
Yeah,
That's-
Danny's right. I mean, because you're really not going to just sit here. You're going to sit your whiskey down
That's
and
part
have
of
a
the
conversation.
enjoyment. Like,
Yeah.
And if it's some whiskey that you can take and be like, there's some good stuff, fellas. And it'd be like,
it is really lackluster, and I think that's part of the problem with me. It tastes like it's only
nothing really stands out.
when I ask how old it is. Do you have any idea? Because it tastes like it was just made. That's why it doesn't have any flavor. Maybe
That's might be why I like it a little bit more because it's mellow, like a mellow taste.
In order
Like I'm not getting
to be,
the strong whiskey alcohol taste.
I feel like I need a check on this, but I feel like in order to be called straight bourbon whiskey, it has to be at least 2 years.
2 years.
At least 2.
That's young, right? That's real young.
That's
2
us-
years is young.
And we could bust that Evan Williams out.
We have
Yeah,
a bottle of Evan Williams from 1977.
Oh, Jesus.
One day we'll pop that bottle.
I don't know.
Do you want to tell the price, or you want to say that for the
These
episode?
bottles are going for about $1,600,
Sounds sketch.
right? Wasn't
Yeah.
it about $1,600 a bottle? We have one. We'll pop it up one day. Fuck it,
Yeah.
I'm down.
Might as well.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what the show's about.
Well, we're going to save it for Daniel's wedding day.
I don't know.
Which
No, we're
will
not.
get us into our episode right now.
We can't save it that long because what we really need to do,
It'll be like 50.
we need to use it on an episode to blow up. Like,
Yeah.
37-year-old. How old is it?
77, so 40. I can't math.
50, no, 40.
40 something.
47. You said 47, right?
I said 40 something.
It's 39 years old, guys. I don't know.
It's pretty old.
So it's old. So maybe on its 40th anniversary.
I think
No,
the
'cause
question
that'd
is
be
how
I think
much.
it's past the 40th anniversary.
No, 2027.
How much alcohol? Because it's already been opened.
Oh,
It's
it'd
not.
be
It's not
50.
like it's unopened.
Oh yeah. No, it's unopened.
It's not
Oh,
open.
is it?
It's unopened.
Oh wow.
The still.
It's unopened, Chris.
What
What
did
do you take us for? What do you take us for?
I thought you
around
just
here?
found it, and it was like.
You
oh,
thought we just found a $1,600 bottle of Evan Williams?
Yes.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
So I'm in
I mean, I
construction.
they did.
We were remodeling a house, and there was a liquor cabinet that had been stocked in 1977 and never touched again. And all of the bottles were in special decanters. So we took them all. My dad drank most of it.
They had permission, by the way. Just
We had permission to take it. They didn't want it, but my dad ended up drinking a bunch of them. Very expensive bottles. There was a Jack Daniel's decanter, like a special edition.
Yeah. It's
We'll
weird.
have my dad on the show one day, and he can tell us what his thinking was behind drinking all of that.
How do you feel about that idea of, like, you buy an alcohol, like these super expensive bottles, like ultimately it's to drink, right?
yeah.
Like people just collect them. I don't know.
Some people drink them.
Yeah,
If you got money like that, it don't matter.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, you buy a $2,000, $10,000 bottle.
You
Dom
buy, you
Perignon.
buy the Pappy Van Winkles and the Weller
I mean,
antiques and
my
stuff.
barber told me what he does is he'll give out the expensive glass out first, like whatever he got,
and then pour the house.
Yeah, and then he'll go to the house stuff.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
So that way they can get that expensive taste. Go ahead and
Yeah,
get
I
that
don't like
going,
it.
and then he'll
I
go
don't
to
like-
something cheaper.
I don't like that at all.
I know.
I don't agree with that.
You get.
That's shiesty. No, I don't.
I
if
think
you
that's the
can't-
way to go.
No,
I mean,
see,
it makes
that's
sense.
that's messed up. No, I don't agree with that at all.
I mean, as long as you like if they think they're getting the expensive stuff, and
That's the
you put in
problem.
the house stuff. That's a little different.
I think that's what he's doing.
Is that what he's doing?
What?
Like,
Why? What other
Because
way
Because he
could you
don't
do
want
it?
to. No, because he
Chris.
don't want to like give out.
Yeah,
all
he
this
wants
info.
them to think of that. So what are the reasons? You wouldn't say, "Here's everybody. Here's a nice glass of whiskey." But by the way,
He might.
I'm
and,
giving
you know,
out shit
He
later.
might not. He might not be like pronouncing it out like that. You know what I'm saying? But
all right, so we're talking like a house party or something.
Yeah.
So you have a group of people over. Here's the good stuff, but I don't want all my good stuff to go away like immediately tonight.
Yeah.
So
Who's passing
here's
out the
cheaper
good stuff at a house party? Nobody.
Well, if you are, then you
And then
wouldn't
it
do
could be a
all.
low key house party, not like a big old house party like you used to have at your house.
we had some, but I still would give out the good stuff.
Wait a minute. Me and Jack would pass out those.
You guys were bartenders, so we stocked the bar. And you guys bartended it. There was some pretty.
I would feel if you bought a bottle of Pappy Van Winkle, I would feel sad if we drank it all.
I
in
would.
a day.
Oh man, yeah.
If we
That
drank
last-
it all in one day,
Yeah.
That last drop.
I feel accomplished.
That last drop would be like.
If we bought a bottle of Pappy's, then we're buying another bottle of Pappy's. We're not just buying one and then retiring. We're moving up in the world.
I guess that's true.
By the time we're buying a bottle
Wait.
of Pappy's,
I mean, we could be.
When
retiring.
money is no object, I guess it doesn't matter, right?
doesn't matter. Pappy's is nothing. Pappy's is cheap.
Pappy's is cheap. Okay.
One day, Pappy's will be cheap.
uh,
All right. What are we talking about today, Chris?
relationships, obviously.
Oh, okay.
So there's three people in here. We got three people in here with different relationship situations. I am married and have been married for 15 years. This is my 16th year, and it's been good so far.
And you have 2 kids.
I have 2 kids.
Don't want to forget the
And
kids.
what's their age?
Well, they're both teenagers now. One's about to get his license. The other one's in middle school. So yeah, pretty good.
So you started popping them out pretty quick after marriage there.
Well, I mean, I'm
That's the
not
plan.
gonna say explicitly that we got married because of my first child, but
You won't be explicit with it.
basically we got the kid came first and then we got married.
Sounds familiar, doesn't it, Danny?
It does sound familiar, Daniel.
So
that
what's
was
your
my
scenario?
situation as well, Chris. It's like we're keeping up with the Chris's over here.
The Chris's.
The Chris over here. So same as Chris, actually, kind of weird, actually. Married, be 15 years in April. I am recently separated. Been separated since August. I got 3 kids. One's fixing to turn 15. The other one's in middle school at 12. And I got a 5-year-old, or actually, sorry, she just turned 6. So a 6-year-old elementary kid in kindergarten. So, yeah, I've been 41 years old, and now I'm trying to decide what to do with life, right?
What to do next?
You know, we'll see what happens. Could there be a possibility of us getting back together? Maybe. Don't know at this moment, but just trying to figure out life as a single male with kids. So that would be my situation right now.
How about you, Mister?
My situation currently is I have a separated brother-in-law living in my house.
I was going to say, should I mention the fact that I'm living with my brother-in-law?
So Danny currently lives with me. I am single. I've been single since 2016. I have no kids, no ex-wives, just a single man living in the world, not knowing what the hell to do. No, I'm just kidding. I know what to do. I know what to do.
Daniel's very particular about his women.
I have a very high standard,
Yes.
I guess you could say, or I have. Maybe things are changing. No, I'm always going to have a high standard. Well, I'm not. Things aren't changing.
So, what do you think that? So, since you guys are separated, single, what does the current dating scene feel like to you? Because, like, to me, and I've got multiple friends that are going through separations and divorces. A couple of them, multiple divorces. To me, it feels like women today on the dating scene are, I don't know, I don't want to say conniving, but crazy, for lack of a better word.
I think
How do you feel?
what it is, like nowadays, women kind of know what they want, and they know there's more of a define what they're looking for in a man. I mean, they can be okay with being single nowadays. It's
Yeah,
not
much
like
more independent.
much more. It's like
AKA crazy.
They're not being pushed to get married or pushed to be dating somebody. So being single for them is okay. So they can be a little bit more particular about who they're dating, who they're messing around with. Everybody I mentioned that I am separated, and the comment I get, like you say, Chris, is, oh, well, so and so, so and so, and so and so are separated or divorced. Is there like something in the water right now or something? Because
That's what it feels like. That's what it
I
feels
get.
like.
And I'm not saying that it's okay to be separated and divorced, but it just seems like, especially since COVID, it's like everybody is getting divorced or separated, and it's not for us. It wasn't because of COVID. For my situation, it's been going on for years, and I've seen the questions that we got coming up, so I'll save that for later. But and describe my downfalls. But it just seems like it's just everywhere, and the dating scene really, really, really scares me right now. I don't know if I really want to do that. You know what I mean? Like
That's
it really scares me. Like I told Daniel that before, and I'm like, I don't know if I really want to do this. I don't want to date around again. I don't want to, you know.
that's how I feel like that's how I would feel. Obviously, I'm still married. I would say happily married, and the idea of something happening between me and my wife, so we get separated, or something were to happen, like the idea of trying to find someone else to fill that
Gap.
the emptiness, that gap, doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel natural. It feels very alien.
It really
Like
does.
to
'Cause
think about that.
We got kids, Chris, and so we got to think of that, right? So we're trying to bring in a new mommy. Like that's
Yeah.
to me right now, at this stage in my separation, it's still hard for me to fathom. Like I don't think I could do that. You know what I mean?
And it's funny to me because like my parents are divorced, separated. They divorced a long time ago.
And that's something to bring up. My parents are still together. They're not. I wouldn't say happily married because I've seen them fight tooth and nail to each other, and it was a rough childhood as far as with seeing that, which brings, we can go more into that depth later. But Daniel can explain his parent situation.
See that part's interesting to me because like my family, like I said, were divorced, or my mom and dad, and coming from that, I kind of never wanted to go through that. So I feel like when it comes to marriage and relationships, I'm in the one I got, so I'm gonna make it work, or I'm not gonna do it again.
So I'll have the same thought, and I think one of your questions, and then we'll get, like I said, I wanted to get into that later, but I can go ahead and do a little spoiler thing right now, is where I've seen my parents fall throughout the years. I didn't want to do that. So one of my downfalls in the marriage is I don't like conflict, and so I tend to buckle in conflict, and that was a downfall to my marriage. One of my downfalls to the marriage is that I buckle to conflict because I've seen it and I've known it, and I didn't want the kids to see it.
Yeah.
I didn't think it's healthy for the kids to see it.
But in avoiding it,
yes,
here you are now.
yes, exactly. Because I was avoiding it, so it was a lose-lose situation for me.
Well, I don't know if it was a lose-lose. If you wouldn't have avoided it. Well, I mean, that's speculation, but
I don't know where I was kind of going is like your parents were divorced.
my parents divorced when I was
You know,
one. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
but
Probably when I was one or.
you went through other situations. where your dad-
My dad's been married 3 times. He's currently married. He's doing him though. Like that doesn't affect the way I look at marriage. The way I look at marriage is, if I'm married to somebody and we both agree that it's not the best for us, then we wouldn't have any. We wouldn't say, oh, we have to stay married because we're married. We wouldn't feel obligated. At least that's how I feel. Because if I'm in a partnership with somebody that's not on the same page with me, I'm not going to try to force it for the rest of my life for the sake of marriage.
So that's how like his sister is right now. If I'm not trying to speak for her, but she is like that as well. That's why we're treating this separation We're not bringing no lawyers in, nothing like that. We're trying to do this together. You know what I'm saying? It's either going to be a divorce, but it's going to be between us and not outside forces. But we're going to keep it on a low-key page for the kids. Not really for the kids, but for ourselves as well, because of the way Daniel viewed it as well.
I mean, low-key doesn't really...
What I mean is,
Yeah.
if she feels like it ain't working, then
there's no point
There's
fighting
no point
it.
of fighting it. There's no point of getting mad at each other. There's no point of just, making it some nasty situation.
Yeah,
Not just
I just
for the kids, but
I
just for
couldn't imagine
ourselves.
being in that situation.
Yeah.
I can't
Yes.
imagine it.
So, from my experience, I feel like you're never going to agree with each other or be on the same page all the time. So there's going to be a conflict. And if you want the relationship to work, you're going to have to work at keeping it together, whatever that means. You don't want to force anything, right?
Yeah, truly, if you love somebody, you want them to be independent with what they want.
And so that's why, so if we're going to get really deep into this, me and Crystal's talked about separation for a while. She's wanted me to be out, but the way I was trying to fight for it and trying to push back and say, no, I'm not leaving, or in whatever. In this last situation, this last episode, I guess you want to call it, it was more like, okay, she obviously needs her space, but I still viewed it as not okay, because that's not what I wanted. I wanted to fight for our marriage, but at the same time, I can't change her. She needs her space. She needs to find out what she wants. I need to find out ultimately who am I and what do I need to do, as a man. You know what I'm saying? I just can't. I truly never been on my own ever. So it's more like at this point in time, I need to figure out who I am as a man.
Yeah.
Never having been on your own.
I never lived on my own.
Yeah, that's something I can't relate to.
I know you've lived on your own for a long time.
But there was a long period in my life where I never did live alone because people were always
I was just thinking,
jumping in on my space.
I've never lived alone.
I'm sorry, Daniel. I didn't mean to jump in your space.
I mean, everybody I know almost has gotten in on my space.
Everyone. I've never lived alone. When you moved out, I moved in with you.
Right.
So I can say I've never lived by myself.
And that was the third place I had lived.
Yep.
And then you moved in with me.
Yep.
And I was never alone.
So we're going to talk about that. So I moved in with my ex-fiance, and then she kicked me out, and I started living with my grandma, and then I started staying with my cousin, and then it moved back into a relationship where I was staying with somebody, and then quickly got out of that. I'd moved at home for a year, and then I met your sister, and
moved in with me.
And moved in with you.
Because she lived with me at the time.
Because at the time we were all living together. And then me and your sister got married and stayed there. And then, now I'm moving back with Daniel. So it's like a totally...
Full circle.
Yeah, full circle right there.
Full circle.
Now, going back to...
You want to move in, Chris?
Yeah, you want to move in, Chris?
I'm good.
Would Melanie like that?
No. Going back to your situation, and I don't know 100%, but I feel like if all of a sudden it was like, I need my space, I need to figure myself out, and then you gotta go figure yourself out, you don't think that there was something that happened before that maybe built up to that point?
Before the relationship?
Absolutely.
Bro.
Every
I
time.
don't even want to get into
So
that.
that's where I get into one of the questions is on
I can't get into that.
conflict resolution and stuff, and it's I don't know, there was maybe some little things that didn't get resolved.
I think you could get into it enough to say, Danny, that conflict resolution was never your strong point.
Yeah.
That's your weakness.
Oh, definitely. I know conflict is...
But that's probably the number one important thing in a relationship.
Is dealing with conflict.
It's dealing with conflict.
I buckle, and I'm not saying I'm a liar because I don't, but I would do little white lies to try to get out of the situation, and it wasn't healthy. So that's my major downfall.
I gotcha.
Yeah, I can't speak specifically because the last time I was in a relationship, I also could be at fault for bad conflict.
Yeah, I think
So I got a question for you guys, and Chris, you might want to opt out. I don't know, consider you're still in a marriage. But my question would be: has anybody ever told little white lies inside of your relationships versus being in a relationship, or vice versa marriage?
I think it depends on what you're lying about. So I lied a lot about smoking. So like,
So my dad does the same thing, and that's one of their biggest fights.
yeah.
One of the
That's
biggest
funny.
fights.
That's funny you say that because,
Daniel knows it. He's seen it with my dad.
well, I think probably the only lie I can remember specifically is I don't know exactly, but smoking had to do with it. Smoking did have to do my ex-girlfriend. Maybe we'll have her on the show one day and she could be more specific. But I think the only thing that I ever did tell a lie about was probably smoking, because I was gonna quit, and then like
Then you didn't
you
quit.
don't quit. Years go by.
I love Daniel because Daniel will be like, "I'm quitting smoking," and I'm like, all of a sudden, like I see Daniel smoking, and I've known Daniel for a long time. He worked with me for a little bit, and I'm like, "Daniel, you're smoking again."
Yeah, I never truly quit smoking until 2 years, like 2022, the end of 2022.
Yeah,
I switched to the vape.
that could
What-
be a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
By the way.
It could be, and honestly, like she doesn't like that I do this, but
I'm not a big vape person. That's why I say that could be a whole other topic.
honestly, when it comes to like taking a break at work or drinking whiskey, it feels natural to have like a cigarette or vape.
So when you take a break at work, what's your preferred whiskey?
I don't drink.
Well, that's
whiskey.
just like right now, we're drinking whiskey, obviously, because it's whiskey, wisdom, and
It's actually
I
wisdom.
really
whiskey,
want a
yeah.
cigar. Like, there's nothing like smoking a cigar and drinking whiskey. It's like,
Yeah, it goes together.
it goes. I've been taking care of my girls this weekend. They all got the flu, so I've been taking care of them, being a nice husband or
Being a good human.
being a good human, I guess. But really taking care of the kids, obviously. But all my girls got it. Youngest one, middle, and Crystal's got the flu. And we got on a conversation how my son says literally all the time. And Crystal brought it up. It was like Joseph says literally, and now it's stuck in my mind. He says literally all the time.
But is it literal?
Literally.
Are the things he's saying literal?
It'd be like literally, you need to watch. Literally.
Does it like combine them together? So it's like literally, like
Yeah.
so you don't know the
Yeah.
meaning there.
Yeah, it's crazy. But anyways, now it's like he said it like 1,000 times before I left. So anyways.
So what is your opinion on smoking cigars versus cigarettes? Because I smoke cigars,
Yeah.
clearly,
Mm,
but I don't see that.
it's different.
I would rather smoke 100 cigars than smoke one cigarette.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. Cigars for me are too intense. Like I'll smoke a cigar every now and then, but I feel like if you're going out and smoking and drinking, like old days,
Yeah,
I feel like cigarettes
that should go to.
feel better.
No,
Well-
I smoked one cigarette since I
Me-
quit
well,
over a
me-
year ago.
Me and Daniel, we went to the local, pub over here, and we took cigars with us one night. But it's like we had to finish our cigars before we walk
It
into
takes
the place.
so long.
And you can't just finish your cigar. You got
Yeah,
to
that's where like cigarillos probably.
Yeah,
come in
exactly.
handy.
See, that's where I like a cigar.
hold outside.
My favorite time to smoke is when it's cold. I prefer
I
a
like-
nice trench coat on,
I like
Yeah.
fall.
smoking in the cold.
There's an image and like a feeling.
That's
I
what
like,
I like.
I like
that.
fall with a fire and a cigar and whiskey.
Camping kind of deal.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Which I mean, going back, well, like what I said, like the ease of going out and smoking cigarettes. That's where the vape comes in. Is that it's quick and easy, and it goes well with drinking. Just
That's really-
the same way a
Well,
cigarette.
they
does.
haven't ruled out vape.
It's bad for you, though, right?
Vaping inside though.
Here's my anecdotal evidence, if you want to call it, is like smoking cigarettes. You feel when you walk up steps, like you can feel the difference,
Mm-hmm.
and when you vape, you can feel that it's better. So like you can feel yourself getting out of breath smoking cigarettes.
That's your anecdotal evidence.
Yeah,
Is you feel better
yeah. I don't feel
as bad.
like I don't lose my breath as quickly since I've been vaping than when I was smoking cigarettes.
So there was a long period of time where I smoked cigarettes that I was very athletic. I used to ride 150 miles a week on my bike, and I smoked cigarettes. And at some point, I decided I want to be a better athlete, and I quit smoking, and I also quit riding my bike at the same time.
See, like ultimately, like if you're going out and working out, that's better. But if you're not doing those things, and you're smoking,
smoking has always impacted me ever since I can remember.
I'm gonna say that right now we're getting off topic.
Yeah, way off topic.
Well, it started with cigarettes.
Well, we can bring this back in the topic on another episode. I feel like because that could be literally.
There's too many. There's too much.
There's
too much editing involved in saving segments of this for another episode.
Yeah,
I'm the editor.
It took like 15 hours for you to edit in episode 1,
and it took them forever. By the way, just let everybody know
This just fell off.
Well,
again, is that time for this? That means the episode's coming to an end.
You keep going like this.
Again, just like episode 1, there's no microphone. This is just essentially a prop.
This is a really good microphone. This is a nice mic. It's just not hooked up. Well, we don't have the capabilities of hooking this thing up, guys, but eventually we're going to have this right here, and me and Chris are going to talk right into this thing, and it's going to sound a lot better. Our guest, on the other hand, is going to sound like shit, because they won't have a mic.
That's what we want.
That's what
we want. Danny, if you really want the truth, your belly's hanging out just a little bit on camera.
Bless. I've been wondering about that.
That's the kind of thing you can only get on
Daniel, I hope you edit that shit out.
A low budget podcast.
I am probably going to not edit that.
You should not edit that out.
I'll keep that.
We need the belly shot. We kind of talked about it, but more specifically, why do marriages fail and what makes them succeed?
So I'm going to throw out one word, and Chris, you'll definitely agree with me, and I know Daniel does. Communication.
That's probably a big one.
Because that is the number one thing that keeps a relationship together. Whenever, like, I'm not speaking for my wife, but she's not a big communicator, and she likes to keep things within, and I'm not a big communicator as well because I kind of hid away from stuff, right? So we both did not communicate together on a relationship.
And I think, from my perspective, what makes marriages fail or succeed is how the personalities line up. So if you have... Do what?
Say that again?
How the personalities line up. Like how you complement each other, right?
Okay.
So if you're someone that has a real strong personality and you have another person that has a real strong personality, then you're going to have more of a conflict.
Yeah.
Versus if you had someone that was, say, like with different type A, type B personalities, I would think that type A and type B would go better together than either type A or type B together. Because, like you said, if you're not a great communicator and she's not a great communicator, then you're losing something in the middle. Versus, like, if you had one was a great communicator and the other one wasn't, I feel like there's a way to kind of work that out.
Like, one keeps the communication going.
No. Like, you got to be on the same page.
But it forces the other to communicate, though.
Does it?
Yeah.
Because
why?
Like an extrovert will bring out, some things from an introvert.
Yeah. But communication is a different story here. If somebody is really good at keeping all of their emotions in, the other person's really good at expressing them. That's not guaranteed to flow over to the other person.
Well, I mean, none of this is guaranteed. It just feels like that when marriages fail, it's because there's two strong types of people that can't work it out. There's not one that can.
I think that's probably a very small percentage. But I mean, obviously, I don't know. But I'm saying, in my opinion, that would be a small percentage of people. Just two people that have a big personality. Because if they're comfortable in who they are and they're focused on growth and growing the other person, and that other person's focused on growing them, which people with strong personalities tend to do, is uplift. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but by uplifting your partner at the same time that they're uplifting you would be a good situation. Two people with a strong personality would thrive.
Yeah.
Unless they have a conflict. But that conflict is the communication that they need.
Yeah, but we're also talking about it like from being reasonable. right?
I mean, if
Like
you're
reasonable people.
reasonable people, both with strong personalities, comfortable in who they are, I think would uplift each other.
But when you got strong personalities and you want to be reasonable, that can go not hand
What
in
is
hand
this
in a marriage.
reasonable? Explain the reasonable.
And Chris brought up a good point when he said reasonable.
Explain reasonable.
like,
Because
when
if you're a strong person, you got your reasons, and you got this other person.
And if you're
here,
strong, you're solid and like
you know your beliefs are. You know
Exactly.
you know what you want. You know what
See,
your
that's
beliefs
where
are.
I guess that's where I'm losing you, because when I think of the strong personality, I think that you're willing to look at it from multiple perspectives.
no.
No.
So you're thinking of more of stubborn,
Yeah.
a stubborn person,
And
not
some-
necessarily
yeah.
a strong
Some people
personality.
and some strong personalities can be stubborn.
I mean, it definitely is.
I mean,
yeah, definitely. the
If you're a
case.
strong person, I'm talking about like
if you're a strong person,
like an
you're
alpha
not
male.
stubborn.
Like so, Daniel, for you, like for example, you're a single male, right? You know what you want out of life, right?
I would be willing to sacrifice a certain amount
But not
to make up.
but not everything.
Well, definitely not. No, definitely not.
Well, when you're in a marriage, you guys sacrifice. When you throw kids in the
Yeah.
factor, you sacrifice a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would agree with that.
You sacrifice more than probably what you realize.
But I think you're
Even
sacrificing.
for me, like I
for-
didn't realize how much you
And I-
sacrifice until you start having kids.
I think once you have the kids, though, you're making a sacrifice for a different reason. That's not for your wife.
I don't
That's-
want people to be confused. Like when you say sacrifice, it's not necessarily negative. It's just that like you're having
Right.
to
Yeah,
give up something
to
like
get
so that
something.
you can accommodate.
like the things I would like
Yeah, to get something.
when I was single. You know, there's things I would say like, "Oh yeah, I would never be like that." And then you start having kids, and you start having a wife, and you start having a marriage. You're like, "Oh, well, wait a minute, that just you
Yeah.
gave it all up."
There are some
Not
things.
all up when I say that. But I'm saying like all your trains of thought on that.
There are some things you have to give up in order to like maintain a balance.
Yeah, to maintain a good balance,
Yeah.
a healthy balance of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would be willing to sacrifice whatever it took to be in a relationship I wanted to be in.
Yeah, but the thing is, yes, totally, 100%. I think the problem with long-term relationships comes when your personality changes. Like people grow older, we're not the same people that we were, 20 years ago or whatever. Like we're slightly different, and when those changes happen, like how do you integrate that into your long-term relationship?
Yeah, like certain people will grow together, certain people will grow apart.
Yeah.
Like Daniel knew me, like when I was new into a relationship with a sister, to versus now. Would you say I'm different?
Do you want my honest opinion?
We are right here podcasting. Yeah,
It's supposed to be authentic, right?
yeah, authentic. And I think we've had these conversations before.
We definitely have,
Yeah,
which is why I'm asking. I just want to be open. I want you to be comfortable.
yeah.
You're not nearly as charismatic as you were when I met you. Like you used to be the man. When I met you, you were the man.
Yeah.
Do you remember Danny in his young days? He was the man. He had no cares in the world. He was confident as
Yeah.
hell. He was tiny as hell, but still confident.
I was 5'3", 97 pounds, and I acted like I
I
was
assume you
6'3"
still are
and
top of three.
I was cocky
the biggest motherfucker.
when I was younger, and I fought you,
Yeah.
and you kicked my ass. We
Yeah.
wrestled, and you kicked my ass.
I mean, hell, I took
Well,
Frank at work and threw him in a trash
5'3" of
can.
muscle.
yeah, but I'm
Yeah.
6'4".
Exactly, like tall and lanky. It's like all compact.
Yeah. So I've filled out more in my adult age, but I was a scrawny.
I definitely filled out more.
Yeah.
I think the one thing about that particular change in personality is how much of that is relationship related and how much of it is just in general getting older.
And how much
It's
is
both.
it is
It's both because you, like you said, you grow in your relationship. So you started out as you before you got married, and then you got
There's
married,
also-
and you got kids.
there's also that like peacock. Like when you're out there and you're younger, you're like peacocking a little. Like
Spread your feathers
you're
out.
trying to look like something. You know, you're young, you're out in the
Sorry,
dating
movie cameo.
world.
I'm a peacock. Captain, send me out.
You're trying to show yourself off to the women. You're trying to get attention. You are being a little bit of a showman. Like you're playing off of your strengths.
Well,
And I
versus
did that.
as you get comfortable with
And
somebody,
I did that
you start
a
letting
lot
it.
when you first met me. Like I did that a lot, and I guess throughout the years, and this.
But that was part of your personality.
And it kind of goes into why relationships fail and everything else. You know, I got comfortable.
I wanted to mention something before about how we were or how you were before, like your long-term relationship. And like we talked about, I believe on one of the previous podcasts, was like the risk reward. So like when you're first getting involved with someone and you're peacocking or whatever.
I like that aspect. I
Yeah,
like that
being a
terminology.
showman or whatever, you're kind of a little bit more out there, and whatever that relationship is that you gather from peacocking.
It's not reality.
Well, not necessarily that it's not reality. It's just that you just met or things just started, so there's no, if things fall apart, then kind of oh well, right? Versus like in a longer term relationship, that risk reward starts to kind of weigh a little bit more. So if you want the marriage to or the relationship to succeed, then you're gonna take less risk, and that kind of showmanship, peacocking thing is gonna kind of fade away because you're trying to maintain it, right?
My argument would be that it's not that you're trying to maintain it. It's what Danny said earlier. You get lazy. Because I think you've already won the prize.
You already won the prize.
And then you're like, I can relax now. I think that might have been part of what my problem was. But I also spent a nice chunk of time chasing after somebody that I was in love with, a long chunk of time. And when I finally got into that relationship, I did probably, get lazy. For sure.
And I think
100%.
and well, that happens in marriages too, Dan.
I think it's all relationships.
And like it was like that with us. Like we had kids, we got into their lives, we got into their sports, their dance, their whatever, and basically we got, instead of like working on each other, we just kind of got lazy with that.
You gotta have time
And then-
together.
Exactly.
You have to schedule time in together.
And the problem is and again, that's on us, is that we didn't schedule that time in at all. And I don't know.
Did you ever, in the time that you were together, actually think, okay, I can't get lazy on this, or I can't,
No.
things you never
We
had
just
that
fell
thought?
right into the rut. I'm gonna call it a rut, but we just fell right into the rut.
Yeah.
The marriage with kids rut. You know what I'm saying? Like the average, like you would see day in and day out. We didn't concentrate on us. We concentrated on the kids. We did what they were doing. And we just never built on us. And then because of that, I guess it kind of just, since we never strengthened that, we just kind of, it's kind of weird because you would think you would. I've always thought, like, and I'm going to bring the Christian aspect into this real quick, but you put God first, then your spouse, and then the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I really thought we were doing that, but we really was not.
So in the way we tried to have some time to ourselves.
So y'all really practice that.
So what?
Y'all practice that.
In my head, sometimes it's like, okay, we just need to go out. We just need to have some time with
And do y'all do
me and
that?
my wife, and we'll do that. Not like regularly. If I were to average it out,
Once a quarter, half a year.
Well, what I was trying to get at is that the traditional date, dinner, movie, whatever, we might do twice a year maybe,
Okay.
but we'll have like mini dates, kind of throughout. Like we'll just the other day we just went to Walmart and went to Sheetz and just did regular things, but it was just me and her, and we're just doing the little things. And
I would say that me and Crystal really didn't
do stuff like that. Or like we had a thing. I took a day off during the week man, I can't remember when it was. This was a couple months ago, and she was off, and we basically our thing was the lottery. So we had specific things we wanted to do, some errands to take care of, but like we played the lottery at one sheets. We won some money, so we went back again and won some more money, and then we're like, oh well, let's take this around. And I know this is potentially going to reach a wider audience, but we went to like Reidsville, Madison, Eden, Wentworth, Reidsville.
So you traveled around.
We traveled around the county, like buying lottery tickets, because every time we it was a scratcher, we would win. So we just take that money and then go somewhere else, and then we just kept going around.
The lottery love story. It's like a Hallmark movie.
Yeah, well, it was just like it was a fun little adventure that we just kind of.
It was an adventure.
Yeah.
Because in case you don't know like that area, then you're talking about probably good hour, 2 hours of driving.
It was a lot of driving
But
on a practical level, it was.
But what I mean is y'all two together, right?
Exactly, it was an adventure.
Yeah,
and that's kind of the point.
Exactly, so that's what I'm saying. Like that's something that we never fit in our time together. Is we didn't do that.
Yeah, so like and maybe there are some women out there that expect more, but like for us, like those are in a lot of ways the little dates, like the Walmarts and the go get some food and come back. Those kind of things mean more. I mean, I feel like especially now that older, I don't want to really say older, but now that we're older, like going out, dinner, movie, go to Greensboro or somewhere, I don't really particularly feel like doing all that stuff. And she doesn't either. Like when we go out and stuff like that, man, we're back home by like 10 o'clock.
See, I felt like whenever we were doing, like if we ever did go on a date, like I had to go over and beyond that. It never tended to be like that. You know,
because it's too rare and far in between.
It was like I felt like I had
try to play it up,
and I don't know if that's what she wanted or if that's what I needed to do.
There's the communication.
Exactly, communication of who really wanted what. But the idea of the mini dates, like you explained, that's pretty simple as far as in our lives. You know what I'm saying? Like
smoke a joint and drive around. That's my date. That's my ideal date.
Oh yeah.
My ideal time. Me and my wife driving around.
Yeah, like I can't remember the last time we did like a traditional like date. But I mean,
it was a traditional date.
It was
dinner
and some activity, movie, whatever.
Why not just a nice dinner? Can't that just be the whole thing?
It can be, for sure.
When's the last time you went to a nice dinner?
2-3 weeks ago.
Where was it?
Monterey's.
Where?
Damn it, Chris.
Monterey's.
All right, I'll accept that. I'll accept it because Monterey's has nostalgia. So
Monterey. They got good food. How about that?
Here's the thing.
All Monterey's got good food.
Monterey's and Reidsville is great because the people there know who we are. We celebrate birthday. There's a couple of waiters we always talk to. We actually have a relationship with, like the kind that like we give them Christmas presents and stuff. So like when we go to Monterey's, like
you're giving these people Christmas presents.
You're giving Christmas presents?
How long have you been living in Reidsville?
I know,
again?
for real.
We like this place. We give the people presents. We sign
it
visas.
was actually it's only been twice. So, no, they're good people. I mean, I'm not gonna say like free drinks and stuff like that.
Let me ask you a different question.
Are you hoping for free drinks?
We're gonna say, when is the last time that you and Melanie had a romantic dinner at home, where you cooked a nice dinner?
Well, you gotta send the kids off.
Yeah, by ourselves or with the kids.
Either way.
Cause
you can have a romantic dinner with your kids.
I mean,
it's kind of hard.
Why?
Well, you got older kids, whereas I got the 5-year-old kid. It gets kind of dicey. The older kids, you can tell them, hey, go off and play. But with the 5-year-old or 6-year-old now,
why can't you involve them in the romantic dinner?
We cook at home fairly often.
Candlelight, some soft jazz playing. Everybody's discussing.
It's more like cook a nice meal.
We've done that before, but it's been a while.
That's like my go-to. I like some nice jazz, some candles, a dinner. I mean, I'm by myself, but I can imagine a family that would be just as nice.
What's that saxophone play in the
Yeah.
background?
Yes. I enjoy it, you know?
Some jazz flute.
Ron Burgundy.
I enjoy it.
Um,
I can't say that I would not enjoy that just because I was married with kids. That would still be one of the things that I enjoyed to do.
Yeah, but the kids have their own agenda, so they may not want to.
They may have 23 hours of their own agenda, but an
Like
hour of that can be my
I love
agenda.
my kids because we say, hey, we're gonna do dinner at home. The girls want to do like I'm the chef and
Yeah, if
I'm
you
the
make 'em part of
waitress,
it.
and especially
If you
my
make the
middle
kids
daughter, she
part of
loves
it.
doing all that. She loves like serving us and trying to
Yes.
put all that together.
Yes. We keep getting sidetracked.
Yeah.
This is like one of those
That's
podcasts
fine.
where
It's all right because that's where podcasts go, right? We're trying to.
you guys say it's all right because you're not editing.
As long as I reduce the number of times I say
You haven't.
I'll feel like it's a win.
All right, I'll
I
start.
have it.
You have a little.
I have a little.
Every
of
time you notice, you do pause.
Yeah.
I've noticed the pause.
So maybe on a more practical level, as far as finances go, when
When you're in a relationship, who's in control of the finances?
yeah. So on your side, not being married, it might be a little different. Plus, you're not legally tied together.
Right. And if I was, I would say that it would be 50-50. I would say that we would sit down once a week and invest the same amount of time into the finances.
Okay, with that question, separate bank accounts or same bank account?
Let me think about that. You guys talk about
Well, I'll say what we have set up is she has whatever her bank accounts are. I have my own bank accounts, and then we have a joint account. And the joint account is where the bills come from.
So right now, that's what you got.
I think I would agree with that. I would say you'd have one main account, but then each of you would definitely get to have your own private account for sure to buy gifts for each other with or whatever.
Just have your own little money.
Yeah, you got to have some independence.
So maybe that was our downfall.
Oh.
We went directly to my bank account. Everything we made went into that account. At first, I did all the bills, did all the budgeting and all that stuff, and I did a really good job. Some things happened through life, and then I wasn't able to do it no more, and I let Crystal do it. And she got to see what the realization of that is. It's kind of hard. But she did want her own money. To me, I could care less, but that's what she thought.
Yeah, I'll say so. That's how the bank accounts were. As far as bills go, in the beginning of our relationship, we had I would pay, not gonna say half, but I would pay a percentage of the bills, and she would pay a percentage of the bills. So like at the very beginning, she had her car, and I had my car and rent and all that stuff. And it was basically divided based on how much we made. And
Very fair.
yeah, right. And I don't know, 10, 12, something like that years ago, she went and took a relief position. So she was working less. And one of the things with that was that she would take over all the finances. So basically, I just focused on working, and then she would handle like all the bills and finances and stuff.
Yeah, totally exact opposite of what we're doing. I more or less took over the bills and brought in the money as well because she took on going back to school and trying to better her situation as far as her education and work. But with that, Daniel brought up a good point. We never sat down and talked about like, oh, this is what we got. You know what I'm saying? It was more or less like I just did it and we just spent whatever we wanted. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'll say that when it comes to, like, we both know how much money we have. Like, there's no, like, secrets in that kind of thing. Like, nothing's really hidden, I guess, when it comes to the finances.
Yeah, I would agree with
Those
that.
are secrets in ours. Like we knew what,
Well, it's because you had one account.
but we didn't. But on top of that, we didn't discuss like this is what we got left. You know what I mean? Like this is what we actually
Yeah,
got
see,
to spend.
I've been single for so long that I do have a high standard, I guess, where if I got in a relationship that was serious, I would have to start having these talks very early on, because I would never want to get in the situation that you've gotten into,
Yeah.
or where you have to keep switching, or I don't know. It's just I think every week is a good timeline, right? Once a week to
So-
kind of check in with each other about.
So yes, that is good.
Typically, it's like when the paycheck rolls around.
Yeah.
It's kind of
And see, we didn't
Like,
have
what we
that.
got,
But like
yeah.
when we got separated, we had to start having those conversations, and that got better. And now we're to the point where we separated our bank accounts. Yeah, that's in our separation. We separated everything now, and it's kind of like we know what we are paying and what we know what we can afford. It's a lot.
Yeah, the best scenario would be to have an accountant that just tells you, "Hey, you're good this month."
If you
You're
had
good."
money,
yeah,
good.
right.
yeah.
You don't have to look at it.
Maybe if this podcast ever blows
But-
up,
We don't ever look at
Just
finances.
speak on financial situation. I have an average job. I'm a warehouse manager at a particular business, and that's where I'm at. So I work as an average person, just to let anybody know. Paycheck to paycheck.
Average
Chris?
Joe.
I mean, I work in a factory, but I guess it's the same kind of like idea. Just not 9 to 5. My day is actually like 6:15 to whenever work gets done. But
Sounds about like Danny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About like me, a little bit earlier hours, but yeah.
I go, even if I didn't get paid for going in early, I'd still go in early just because I like to settle in.
Man, I'm like
I don't like to show up directly on time and like feel like a
I'm that
rush.
guy that shows up directly on time, grab my cup of coffee, and don't talk to me until I wake up. But I work early hours, so
I'm always the get there early. I've always been the get there early kind of.
I mean, getting sidetracked again. I mean, like you remember, like whenever we would plan something, I'd typically show up like 30 minutes or an hour early to like anything.
Well, here's the difference in me. When it's professional, I'm early. When it's what is it called? When it's just like
family.
friends or family, like party,
Yeah.
like fashionably late.
Fashionably late is Daniel.
Yeah.
Hour at minimum.
Hour is, I would say, an hour is like the starting point. An hour after the event
Yeah.
starts is when
No.
We would
really
have-
it starts.
We would have family gatherings, and we know to expect Daniel like about an hour.
Fashionably late, but
Tell
I'll
me-
be early for work.
You tell me to be somewhere, I'm gonna be there like 30 minutes early, at least,
And
no
see,
matter what it is.
I would love to do that, but even with like scouts, sports, it's like everything is like 15 minutes late, and I don't mean to be like that, but
I cannot operate
it just
like that.
tends to be like that. And I mean that facetiously, but I mean I show up less than 15 minutes late, but I'm just saying I'm like either on time or a little bit late. I don't mean to be like that, but it's just the way
I'm
it
either
is.
early or way late.
And I don't want to be like that. I want to be like, show up 15 minutes early and get things prepared and get things.
If you
know,
want to be the person to show up early, there's only one way to be that person.
is to do it.
You have to show up early.
You have to do it.
And then you will be the person that
Yeah.
shows up early. You'll be the person you want to be.
And for anybody that's watching, I don't mean to be like that. Just to let you know.
But since you do it over and over again, it builds
It gets-
up a repetition.
it gets
and
comfortable.
that becomes who you are.
Yeah.
People expect it, so it's not a shock.
Right.
And my scout family, they're like, oh, Danny's gonna show up. Yeah, there
There's
it is.
another aspect to that about you, Danny, is also that your schedule is so full.
It is.
You have 3 kids. They're all in multiple sports, multiple things they do.
Yeah.
All 3 different schools. You work 45 minutes from here. You live 30 minutes from your work, or your kids live 30 minutes further. You spend your entire day coming and going and coming and going. So being late to you is just living life.
It's just I'm going through and going through.
Yeah, I
and going
couldn't operate on that.
Yeah.
Huh?
I couldn't operate on that kind of driving
It's-
distance and
it's-
stuff.
A lot, but I do it and I get it completed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I apologize to many people, but I'm trying to get better at that. I want to show up and be like, I'm ready for what it is instead of just showing up like I'm here.
The best way to set yourself up for that is to build a good scenario where that could happen.
Yeah.
If you got too much stuff on your schedule, you have to remove something.
Yeah.
To fill in some space.
And eventually, I'm gonna miss that, right? You probably got older friends or older coworkers. You're like, man, I really miss that. That's gonna happen because my son's in high school.
Yeah.
4 years more. I mean, well, I guess 3 years because the school year's ending, but
I would argue that some of those people aren't saying they miss the grind; they miss the time.
Yeah.
So if you're always in a rush, you don't get to enjoy your time.
Yeah.
So you might miss the fact that you never enjoyed your time. There's a lot of time in your life that you really miss out on by not appreciating it or being in the space that you're in because you're in a rush.
Yeah, I feel like with all things, there's a balance, right?
Mm-hmm. And wouldn't you say that a marriage typically would end because there wasn't a balance?
Yeah, I think it's an imbalance of something, right?
Right. And what about a marriage that you're currently in? Could it still be more balanced than it is? Could it be better than it is?
To be honest with you, I don't think so.
You don't think it could be better than it is?
I think that I'm in a pretty good spot.
Well,
we
pretty sweet.
didn't have that balance.
That's sweet.
Like I could. I mean, maybe I'm reading wrong or something. Like I've never been someone that hasn't been able to kind of take a step back and be a little introspective. I've always kind of been able to do that. And if anything, I'm maybe a little bit more laissez-faire than what I ought to be. Like I probably need a little bit more drive. Which honestly with this podcast kind of helps out a little bit. Like, because it's kind of something to focus on. But
I like it.
Yeah.
Drive is, I think, the biggest aspect in a relationship. Is because I think when you get married, you kind of lose that drive, and then you got to figure out what that drive is. If it's the kids or if it's personal, which obviously the kids are, once they turn 18, they're out of the house. So
I like to think that I've always tried to be on some level authentic as I could be.
Out of everybody I know, Chris, you probably are the most authentic person I've known. Like, you have stayed on this same authentic, like, you've never changed. You've never said something and then had to go back and be like, what? Because everybody already knows. You either said or you didn't.
Yeah.
There is no second guessing you.
Yeah.
That's a special quality to have.
Thank you.
There's not a lot of people that are like that. A lot of people kind of, like you said when we were talking about spirituality, how I've had my phases.
Mm-hmm.
Those phases come from inauthenticity. You get around certain groups of people and you try to fit in, and then you build walls up.
You try to fit in, even if you don't know it.
Yeah.
You're trying to fit into whatever group that you're a part of.
Right.
I mean, I do it on some level too,
Mm-hmm.
but I try to, I guess, when I'm in a situation like that, I still at least try to maintain some authenticity in that. Like, I'll concede on this point because it's true and it's something I believe. It's something that I believe, but ultimately I feel this way.
Yeah.
like I'm a people.
I guess try to relate to the group without actually like maybe fitting in. I guess.
Yeah. It's a special personality that you have. I'm like with Danny. I've been a people pleaser for a long time. That kind of makes you act a certain way. Your ego kind of gets involved in that.
And then you kind of like stop
kind of
being
downfall
like,
a little bit because like
You want to be a certain way, but people expect you to be the way you've been for so long that you feel like changing to be authentic is going to put you in a negative light with certain people. But in reality, once you start doing that, people appreciate you even more.
Yeah, I just haven't figured out that. Right now on stage of my life, I just haven't figured it out yet, and I'm working on it. But
It's hard. You got to break down all these barriers that you've built up to fit in, and to please people. And somebody might ask you something, you have to say no because you're trying to figure out who you are and what you want to do.
And saying no is like really hard to me. For anybody that's listening, it's really hard for me to say no.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a negative part to my marriage as well. It's like saying no to other people to try to fix what's going on at the household. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of hard for me because I'm a
People pleaser.
how many people have offered like advice and stuff like that since you've been separated?
Say again?
How many people have offered like advice?
A bunch.
Yeah, I would imagine.
A bunch.
Like you say, you announce like we're separated, this and that. And
So
then you get a wave of people that kind of like either want to relate or.
So for anybody that's listening, I've been separated for 7 months. I didn't start really announcing it until like
Yesterday.
2 months ago, maybe a month ago. So it took me a minute. And then people that actually really know me, they found out less than that, but it really took out. It took a while.
Yeah, you guys are very private. Both of you are very private. Even though, a lot of people are asking me what's going on. You live with me. I still didn't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, when it comes to a lot of this stuff, like I don't want to say like I don't care, but it's kind of like that's your business. We're talking about this because it's on the podcast, but like outside of this, I'm like, this is your business. You don't have to share anything that you don't want to share, and I'm not going to try to pry into someone's business. But like, I know that there are people out there that like want to get the gossip, want to get the news.
I think if you were just to tell everybody from the very beginning and just let it out there.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, if you do that, then like
I would have to do it.
They want to know what's up, and I'm gonna say like, and that's what I said in the beginning of this podcast. The number one thing was communication.
So, question, probably like the main question: what do you think women want?
Don't ask me.
You have to have an idea.
I'm gonna let y'all discuss that.
That is a good question. I haven't really thought about it too much. I'm thinking of it more like an example where we talked about dating, and it's not always about the big fancy dates and vacations and stuff. That's all great and it's fun to do, but I think having the small moments together is kind of what I'm more getting at, and those things shouldn't be overlooked.
Yeah, absolutely. Where men feel like they're obligated to do the big thing.
Yeah.
The vacation or the big
Yeah.
dinner. Yeah, I mean, I enjoy all those things, but I also, like I said, smoke a joint, go for a car ride. Like that's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day for me.
What about you, Danny? You didn't.
What do you think women want?
What do women
I would
want?
say women really want you to fulfill a fantasy that they have, and you should be willing to do that. Whatever their particular idea of a perfect relationship is, you should be involved in knowing what that is. You should ask questions, dive in deep, be what you can be of that. And if there's something you can't do, be honest about it.
I mean, it obviously has to come from like a real place too. I mean, it's gotta be something that's able to be achieved, right?
Yeah, honesty.
Yeah.
Be honest about it.
Because
When I say fantasy, I don't mean like billionaire yachts and.
that's what I'm kind of getting at, is that I feel like in today's society, with all the media that we consume, is that a lot of maybe particularly younger people have that in their heads that like.
I think the percentage of young women that have that idea are the ones that are big on social media. It's a very small percentage. I think there's a lot of really genuine women out there that know that is ridiculous.
Yeah.
They want somebody to, when I say fulfill their fantasy, be romantic every week with them. Listen to what they're telling you without trying to give them advice. Women don't really want advice as much as they want you just to listen to their story.
I was gonna say like,
And a lot of men aren't willing to listen. They just want to fix the problem. You just want to fix the problem.
That's because of how we think, right?
I learned something.
There's a
in
problem. You
relationships
gotta fix
is-
it, right?
Yeah,
Simple
but
as that.
that's the problem.
Right.
That's how we think, but that's not how women think.
Yeah.
And there's something I learned throughout, my Christian life and just some of the things I went through, Bible studies and stuff. Is the question is, do you want me to fix it or do you want me to listen?
They want you to listen.
So,
100% of the
that's what I'm
time,
saying.
Danny.
It's exactly what I'm trying to say. Is they would just want you to listen. They really do. Like they just want to listen. They just want you to sit back and listen to their problems or listen to what's going on throughout their day. They don't want you to fix it.
It's
They
because it
just
doesn't need to be
want you-
fixed.
Exactly. If it need to be fixed, they'll fix it.
They'll fix it.
But just sit back and listen. They
I mean,
want
that
you to listen.
listening for them is like a pressure relief valve or something, I guess. And
Yeah.
you know, we don't always think about it like that. We're
Men
listening.
want to fix it. Men want to
Yeah.
take over and fix the problem.
It's the like men are more apt to be interested in things like problem solving, and women are more apt to be interested in people and relationships, right?
Yeah.
So, what do men want?
I am a simple, really simple type person. I just want to be appreciated
Yeah,
and loved, right? They don't have to go much further than that. I'm not some bougie guy that's got to have all this. I ain't, I just want to be saying, you know what, I really appreciate you today. Thank you for everything you do.
I didn't honestly think about that, but that is a good one. Appreciated. I think feeling like you're appreciated is a big deal.
Because as a people pleaser, I try to do everything I can to please you, whatever that may be. At the end of the day, I just want to be like, you know what? Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for going to work. Thank you for what you do for this family. That's all I'm looking for, and the love that goes behind that.
Yeah. I think someone
The affection.
definitely say that women would want that too, right? Like, there's an old trope, right? An old trope with the stay-at-home mom, housewife, and does dishes all day and does all the errands and all that stuff, and husband comes home and doesn't appreciate any of that. But I think that goes back to women too. Like, if they need to be appreciated for what their role is too. I mean, I know we were talking about men, but that I watched an old cartoon recently that kind of had that trope in it.
What cartoon?
It was like a Looney Tunes cartoon.
Okay.
It was on.
I'm down. Huh?
It was on. What was it? Was it HBO Max? I think they got the old Looney Tunes on there. But yeah, we were just watching random stuff, and it happened to be on there. And what you said made me think of that. But I mean, going back to more of what men want. I think men, like we said, trust, appreciation, and to be a little less tangible, probably like complimentary, right? You want someone that's able to compliment, receive what you're dishing out, kind of deal.
So, we're talking about marriage and relationships and all that good stuff. So that was a little bit downfall to us, was she didn't trust me because of my little white lies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't trust her because of the emotions or the response I would get from her. So you say trust, and it goes, but like I said, it's a two-way
Sure.
street.
It's funny because like a lot of the things that women want, men want are the same. Is what we're kind of saying here for the most part. I think the difference comes in like
How you perceive it.
how we interpret what that means.
Yeah, interpret it. Yeah. Totally agree with that comment.
What do you think?
And that's what trust
I don't
is.
know
right?
that it's exactly the same.
No?
I mean, I think women really want to be able to be vulnerable around a man, which is trust, but really be themselves. Because women can be real strange. They can be
No
they can be
offense.
real weirdos. But they're not comfortable being
Right.
that
Right.
around you. And I would say that what I would want out of a woman would be for her to be 100% comfortable in who she was around me. And I would say I would want to be 100% comfortable with who I was around her. And if that situation was accomplished, I think everything else would fall into place.
And
Everything else could work.
I agree with that.
for your sister, and I speak honestly, like really truthfully, like I want her to feel like she was 100% could trust me in her vulnerabilities and stuff like that.
Yeah, but when you get into telling the white lies and stuff, you start putting blocks up.
Exactly.
And that means you're not who you want to be.
Exactly.
So that negates the whole thing.
That was the push and pull.
It's not a push and pull. It's you're looking in the mirror and getting exactly what you're putting in the mirror back. Yeah. You're not being yourself. You're not being authentic, and you can't expect that in return.
Yeah.
You can only expect what you put.
And that was the total downfall that we had.
I would say from the very beginning of a relationship, which I've never been in a relationship like this. So when I say this is what men want, this is my personal opinion, and I've never been in a relationship where I was comfortable with who I was, because I had always been an inauthentic version of myself my entire childhood, my entire young adulthood, trying to fit into the group, trying to be the alpha in the group all the time. And it put a lot of pressure to be that person. And when I got in a relationship with somebody I wanted to be in more than anything in the world, I didn't know how to show up as my authentic self. And that ultimately is what I feel like led to the downfall of that relationship. And by me not being able to be authentic, she wasn't able to be authentic. And it
Cause your both kind of like.
It probably what happened between me and Crystal too.
Putting too much into it.
I think that would probably be the case in 99% of failed relationships, is that you're not able to bring your authentic self to the relationship.
It's actually kind of interesting because this is the third podcast, but like second recording we've done, and authenticity has like been a big
topic.
In my world, authenticity is what I live my day-to-day life trying to find.
Honestly, didn't gather that from you. I always kind of thought that you operated in the same way.
Yeah, see, I mean that's proof. That's proof right there. Because I've always been like, what the fuck am I doing? My whole life.
Living with Daniel for the past few months, I found out, just like you just found out this moment, I found this out living through Daniel. Like, wait a minute, you haven't been like that?
Yeah.
Like, I always thought Daniel knew exactly what the fuck he wanted, and like this authentic self, and like come to find out, like, no, he hasn't been like that. So it's kind of like, what in the heck is going on?
That's what I'm saying.
So Daniel saying all this was like, wow, you know, like
I will absolutely say this. Like,
if anybody knows Daniel, you're like, wow.
Yeah, I assume what was presented is what you got.
See, that's my point I'm trying to come across as.
Yeah, you don't know.
There's so many people out there that you think know exactly what's going on, and you're like, damn, okay. And it's not the case. It's really not. Like, I'm proof of that. I could get like real down in the weeds here and tell you guys, like, the majority of my life I've been like super depressed about what was going on. Didn't know what was going on. Always anxiety. I went for years of my life where I did not go to like in public alone. Like, I wouldn't even go to the grocery store and shop by myself without like a friend with me.
So have you never went to a restaurant by yourself?
I have once in my entire life. I've
Really?
done it one time, and it was just a few years ago. And
It
I
doesn't
did it
happen
on
a lot
purpose.
for me, but
I did it with no cell phone either. I went to a restaurant, no cell phone. I did it on purpose as part of my growth because of how much anxiety I've had.
you've never done it?
Never done it.
Really?
But have you ever wanted to? It's never been an issue for you.
I did it like 3 weeks ago.
I've been a twin all my life.
Yeah, that's a little bit.
So I've had somebody there with me all my life.
I don't know. The way I think about
Twin
it,
life.
like
And you're an only
life.
child.
So
So we got twins, we got an only child,
Yeah.
and we've got me with every kind of sibling you could have.
That's true.
So
Sister,
like
half-sister,
me being alone is
stepsister.
not. I've never been alone.
Hmm.
So like right now, I'm trying to look for a place. You know, because obviously, if this separation is going to end up in divorce, I'm trying to look for a place where I can be my own, and it's overwhelming for me inside.
Yeah, but like when it comes to the restaurant thing, like ultimately, like the way that I viewed it was, oh, I'm gonna be in my favorite town because it's for work, and I happen to be here. I'm gonna try this restaurant out that I never get the opportunity to do because I'm never in town. Like in the morning for breakfast, I love breakfast, diners, stuff like that.
I love breakfast too.
Breakfast food,
All
Yeah.
men love breakfast.
Breakfast is my number one.
breakfast is awesome.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna go here, and I just went and did it, like because I wanted to.
Well, here's the thing. Now that I've gotten past that, I will go. It's
Yeah,
different
easy.
now. I'm talking about my entire life leading up till probably like around the pandemic time. Seriously. Probably, yeah, because I got real comfortable being alone during that pandemic time. And even though I had a good friend with me during that time that helped me start my business, that was awesome. But I really started to realize that I needed to be my authentic self. I had been covering up like who I truly was for my entire life.
Something else I was wanting to point out is I remember, and this was a while back, like you got glasses and you're like, oh, now I can see things that like the leaves are individual.
It was amazing.
Like leaves. And I'm sitting here thinking like, well, maybe what I'm seeing isn't right because how would I know any different? All I know is what I'm
Perspective,
seeing.
right?
Yeah, all I know is what I'm seeing.
It's really weird because like with Crystal as well, she didn't have glasses, and I was with her when she first got glasses, and she was like, I can see this, and
When you see the individual leaves
I
on
can
the
see
tree,
that.
it changes your life.
And see,
isn't
like,
that interesting? It's interesting.
it's
right?
interesting. So
Yeah.
I went to the optometrist after that, like not long after that. So I was like, I gotta find out.
I want to fucking see the world.
Yeah, like maybe I'm not seeing things right. No, I don't need glasses. I'm good.
You can see the leaves. I've
Yeah,
been
I
seeing
can see the
the fucking
leaves.
leaves my whole life. What another part of that was I had astigmatism where I had that lazy eye, which also nobody knew my
No,
entire life
we
because
never
I
know.
always held it. Like I always focused, and that's why I have migraines my whole life because I'm always keeping that lazy eye straight.
Yeah, that explains.
So I had surgery to fix the lazy eye, and that's when I had to stop. I didn't have to wear the glasses anymore.
Okay.
So that's why I don't wear glasses now.
So
Even though I still should, but I can still see things clear.
So I have hearing aids, and because I'm partially deaf throughout my whole entire life, really all my life. But so when I got my hearing aids for the first time, the one thing I was watching this movie, and I watched the show before I got the hearing aids, and I went back and watched some of the episodes afterwards, and I'm like, what? That was really the conversation that was going on? Like, I had no idea.
Yeah. So we talked on episode 1. Is I've got a hearing problem in my left ear, and I did a
Me
test.
too.
I did a test run of hearing aid. Still need to go back and buy them, but I remember wearing it, and the click on the turn signal was like real defined. It was a real defined click when you hit the turn signal.
Mhm.
It was like I'd never heard that before.
Only the left one.
Yeah, right, because the turn
it was
signal's on
not
the left
even
too.
the turn signals. It was like the changing of lanes.
It was everything with Danny.
Oh, it
He
was
was straight
everything.
deaf.
Everything. I was like, what in the world?
Yeah.
It's amazing what you can hear. And I'm really glad I got my hearing aids, but again, like, it's not perfect because, as I'm talking to you guys, it's kind of hard to hear. But if I had some background noise, the hearing aids pick up what's more in the background and more what's in front of me.
Yeah, I gotcha. That's where these things are going to come in handy as soon as we get a way to hook them up.
Once we hook up mics and shit, we're
I'd
gonna be
probably
living
like-
the dream.
So what's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah. The majority of the show right now is deaf. So
Which is all my life, it's all good.
So, to wrap it up, what is the number one piece of advice you would give to men about relationships? I feel like we're going to say the same things that we've been talking about, right? If anyone wants to add anything, trust, authenticity.
let's just go one at a time. Start with Danny.
So I would go with definitely trust, communication, as I said in the beginning of this podcast.
That's not a piece of advice. Telling somebody trust and communication. That's not a piece of advice. Tell somebody something that actually means something.
Listen
There we go.
to what your spouse is saying. Now, if you got a spouse that doesn't say much, then you really got to pay attention to the things they're saying, not really directly towards you.
Like read between the lines kind of deal.
Yes, you really got to pay attention to that. Like I said, I'm simple. I feel like, and
You're simple, but you don't know what
Like-
you want.
when I say I do,
That's complicated.
and you know what I'm saying, I feel like we should both just,
You feel like,
yeah,
but you don't communicate it.
exactly.
That's the problem.
Everything should come
You
natural.
can feel whatever the hell you want, but nobody's ever gonna know what you feel.
Yeah. You want things to come natural, but you have to
You gotta.
Yeah.
work a little
You
bit.
have to be natural.
Yeah.
If you want things to come natural, you gotta be natural. My piece of advice would be, to find who your authentic self is, to find out your greatest desires in life and to find out what would seduce you.
Can I be seduced?
What would it take to seduce you, your authentic being?
Right now.
I think it's really because it comes down to assumptions.
Yeah.
It's human nature to always assume what you think is the outcome or going to be the outcome.
Yeah.
Because it's your nature.
And Chris might think different because he's been his authentic self.
Everybody's assumption is their own.
I'm starting to second guess my authentic self here.
Really? Because
Well, I don't think
like
so.
Daniel said, I always thought
Think
you
so.
were very authentic.
Dude, I spent my
I've known
entire
him-
life
He's
being
known you way longer than
inauthentic.
I have.
You guys
But I
are
was
both
thought
saying
you-
you're inauthentic. I'm like,
You have
maybe
been
I'm
the
not
same
authentic.
person, Chris. I thought, because like Daniel said, I've known you a short period.
That's the
other than
difference,
Daniel.
though. Your perception of yourself is so different than your perception
It
from
really
other
is.
people.
Yeah.
And you really start to notice that you've been putting on a persona for a very long time, because in your private life, when you're alone, you really want to, at least in my case, like I fucking dance a lot and sing a lot, and nobody in my life has ever seen me do either one of those things. That's the authentic me. Like, I want to let it out. How do you let it out without people being like, what the fuck's up with this guy?
I've always danced a song.
I got 3 left feet.
I love this. In fact, my kids would be like, Dad, you need to stop. Dad, stop. Like,
Hey, that's where my dad inspires me a little
I'm
bit.
not going to share my
Your
Because
dad
he
will-
wants to get out and dance and sing, and
Your
he'll
dad-
do it.
well,
That's true.
we don't want to talk about that video.
We'll bring him on an episode. He's an inspiring guy. He's got a lot of
Your dad,
he's got a lot of communication
He's
things
got
too.
a
but
lot of stories.
I would have to
he's
say
got a
your
lot of
dad is
stories.
really, like, I want to say this loosely, but he's very authentic of himself.
he's
I say that loosely.
yeah, loosely.
Right. Very loosely, but he's never-
Loose. He's loose as a goose.
He's very loose.
We'll have him on the show.
I mean, anyone that dances around with a trident and pretends to be Neptune.
Ah, yes. I got the trident. by
That's
the
where
way.
the perspective's different.
I have the trident. It's in my garage. If
We'll
anybody
have it
wants-
on the set.
If anybody wants to
We
see
should
it, I
have
got
one
it.
set.
In fact, I think I heard
So
it.
all right.
I think I heard you wanted it.
What's your final
Oh, yeah.
piece of advice for a relationship?
Because you are the one that's still in a relationship.
That's true. I think that, like I said before, and it's good to end with this, is it's good not to overlook the small things. Meaning that, like, the little moments that you have with the other person, to recognize when those things happen and to cherish it and remember that. Because I think doing those things make for a more sustainable relationship. Simple.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would. The only difference I would make is that you make sure that your partner is aware that those moments mean so much to you.
Yeah. On a certain level, I feel like in a great relationship, you'd both recognize it.
Mhm.
But you're right. It
Yeah.
would probably be good to call them out too.
Yeah, because that's
Even if it's the case that you're both like on the same level with this, calling it out.
it just goes
is
to
it-
assuming they know.
Calling it out is another way of appreciating it
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
So,
Gratitude.
right.
Show gratitude. Enjoy the moments. Know who you are, and communicate everything as well as you can.
It's a good summary.
All right. Well, that wraps it up for Wisdom, Whiskey, and Relationships. Come around.
Weren't we supposed to end this in some kind of way?
What were we gonna do?
You said it the other day.
Yeah, we're gonna have an ending phrase, but we never came up with it.
I thought it was I.
Oh yeah,
I.
That's it. It's over.
That's
So you're good with these?
those. God, you doing my shade?